Hello and welcome to Uncaged, the official podcast of BA Tiger Sports. I am your host, Greg Spencer, alongside both of our associate directors of athletics, Amanda Snider and Alton Lusk. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having us.
I'm doing well, thank you.
And our special guest this week is Broken Arrow High School volleyball coach, Ian Bullen. How you doing, Coach?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Talk a little bit about this team, where you're at right now, heading into playoffs.
Yeah, so this team, this year, things have gone real well. We were off to a wonderful start for the season. You know, we jumped out of the gate and won a whole bunch of games, got ranked pretty highly, and we've just been riding that throughout the season. We're ranked number 4 currently. You know, things are going real well. I'm proud of the team. They're playing hard, and we've done a great job up to this point.
What does this team do well? What's different about, you guys were real close to winning a state championship last year. What does this team do well, and who are some players that have really stood out for you?
So one of the things that makes this team unique, in that we really haven't had a situation like this in a number of years, is we don't have the one player that we can kind of hang our hat on and say, this is our superstar, this is the key, this is the one player that people would try to stop. It's a collection of girls that go out there and work hard, and they do their job really well. And I think that makes us a little more dangerous in some ways, because you've got to contend with a number of weapons instead of just trying to stop one. And that's probably the one thing that I think we could put our thumb on that's been unique about this team this year, is the fact that we've had to be really diverse with the way we attack the ball, the way we play defense, because it's not just the one player.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I've come to several of the matches, and the girls just fight hard. Even, when things maybe don't go their way, they never give up. You will notice that they really have the work ethic and the drive.
Coach, great job this year. I've been to a few games and really just appreciated your work ethic and the girls' work ethic. What are some things that you got to focus on here as you're trying to punch your ticket to the state tournament?
One of the biggest challenges, and it seems to come up every year this time of year, is and I'm sure it's this way in other sports, it's just you've got to keep the kids focused. Our season is not the longest season in the world, but it has been a grind on those kiddos. They started practicing midsummer, lifting weights, even earlier than that. And, here we are now, we're into school, and we've got the homecoming dance, and we've got, all kinds of football games and things like that are in the equation, which I love. That's a great part of high school, but it does challenge us coaches in a way that is not necessarily unique for our sport, but it's something that we have to work on to try to keep those kids focused. I mean, October is the measuring stick of fall sports, and in this case, we've had a great year, but man, we don't want the greatness to stop with our season. We want to have good postseason as well. So, the challenge, let's keep the kids focused. Let's really, face the challenges head on. And, if we stumble a bit, let's learn from that and let's move forward. That's our goal.
Is it something you do every practice to remind them that, mind and body, keeping a balance and focusing on your schoolwork while being competitive and eating right and sleeping, all those things? Is that something you and Coach Sorolla do every practice, or is it kind of once a week?
I tell you, Shira is really good about that. She was obviously had some good success in the collegiate level, and she's all in when it comes to making sure the kiddos are doing and acting and eating and saying and all these things the right way. And that's she's such a valuable part to our staff. And we do remind the kiddos, and we reach out to their parents too. We want to make sure that they stay focused, but we want them to do the right thing as well. And grades are a big part of it. We're proud of the grade point average that our kids have every year when we're able to appear in the state tournament. We want to be able to challenge for that academic championship as well. And
3.7 this year.
3.7 is pretty solid.
Great.
Pretty solid. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your staff. Talk about some of the other coaches you guys have.
Yeah, I feel like I've got a really strong staff, and I've been so blessed here at Broken Arrow every year to have a good group of people that just, more than just knowledgeable in volleyball, they're just good people. And so this year our staff is set up with me at the head varsity level, and my assistant coach is Shira Sorolla. She was the head coach at ORU for a large number of years, and she came onto our staff a couple of years ago, and she was our freshman head coach for the last 2 years. And so she's moved up to help me on the varsity. lots of experience, and she's been there and done that, and on the international level and the collegiate level, and she's a high-end club coach. I mean, she's got loads of experience. Jessica Walker was my assistant coach on the varsity. She's dropped down to help run the show for the JV. She's doing an excellent job. They have a fabulous record this year. I mean, they've worked so hard for her, and I'm really excited for her. I mean, she was super excited to take on that role as a head coach on the JV, and it's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of redefined her coaching career for us, and she has taken the reins by the horn, taking the reins of the horse and ran with it. So we're excited for her. Additionally, we hired a new coach who's our freshman coach. She played for me. Her name's Rachel Hill, and she played for me over at Coweta when I was the head coach there. And she was a wonderful player. She was an all-state libero for us. She's been an assistant coach for the last couple of years at Ponca City High School. And, I always told her, I said, if we ever had a chance to get together, it would be a good opportunity for her. And it really worked out well. Timing was good. We had an opening, and she came in, and she's done a fabulous job with the freshmen as well.
You mentioned Coweta, one of your previous stops. Tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you go to college, and kind of how your life has played out since leading up to Broken Arrow?
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll go way back then. So, I graduated from Bartlesville High School, and I, like a lot of my buddies, I, jumped on board and became a Boomer Sooner and moved over there to Norman and was there for a few semesters before I relocated to Tahlequah and went to Northeastern State. So I graduated from there, and my first teaching job was down in Poto for a handful of years. I wasn't a coach. I was just a history teacher and loved it. I went to college to be a history teacher, and I'm still extremely passionate about that, and was thankful for that opportunity. And when I moved up to Coweta, I was there for 16 years, and during that time we started a volleyball program, and it was a little bit of a train wreck to begin with. And
what made you how did that come about that you would be interested in coaching volleyball?
Completely got suckered. I mean, it was one of those deals where how athletic directors are. They looked at me and said, "Oh, you're a history teacher and you're not coaching anything." So I was like, well, what a great challenge. Let's get after it. And it was a bit of a stumbling learning experience. We went 2-21 my first year, and how we won 2, I'll never know. It was an accident. And then they asked me to come back, and all those years later, I mean, we started that program. They'd never had volleyball there before, and I think there were 3 schools in our conference, us and Claremore and Tahlequah, all started at the same time, and we kind of grew with each other, learned from each other, and put things together. And by that 4th season, we went 15-12. You'd have thought we qualified for the Olympics. So and then after that, things just started to click. We kind of put it together and had a good run over there, and opportunity came over here at Broken Arrow 8 seasons ago. Hard to believe it was that long ago. And position.
This is your 9th year.
This is our 8th year. It's our 8th year over here. So we we're fortunate enough. We always lived here in Broken Arrow. My kids went to school here.
Both. You coached your daughter, right?
Yeah,
and then your son played golf, right?
Son was on the golf team, and daughter was also on the golf team. So it was just it was a really good fit, and I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to come and do that. And I try to keep plugging away and doing the best I can do, and being a good influence on the kiddos, and I just love everything about it.
You're doing a fantastic job and really enjoy your staff. And what is something you do to sharpen your skills and as a coach?
I try to keep learning. I mean, that's the one thing that, I pay close attention to the people that I coach against. I ask a lot of questions of them to see how they run their programs and maybe things they do in the off season. And, anything that I can, I'll say it, anything I can steal from someone else that'll be used, I'll use it. I mean, even last night we were at Bixby, and they were having their senior night, and I saw a couple of things that they did. I thought that would be a great idea. We're going to go ahead and, maybe move that on over to our side of things. So, I think as a coach, one of the things you can do is if you're playing against people that are high level, pay attention. Pay attention to the things they do and the way they warm up and the way they talk to their players. And, there's a lot to be learned from the people that we're competing against. And, maybe people learn from me as well, but it's that's one thing that you want to do. And, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and you better pay attention to them when you're playing against them.
Well said.
You mentioned that you guys are currently ranked number 4, right? talk a little bit about, not to get ahead of ourselves beyond regionals, but talk a little bit about some of the top teams in 6A that you guys have competed against and what you're looking at matchup wise if you guys are to advance.
Okay. Yeah. So our season has been, full of challenges, and we have faced every team that's highly ranked, every single one of them across the state. So number one right now is Jinx, and we've played them a couple times. We're 1-1 against them. We beat them at our tournament, and they beat us later on at the Bishop Kelly tournament. We played against Bishop Kelly a couple times. They're ranked number 2, and they're pretty solid, very solid. Also highly ranked is Edmond Memorial, and we're 1-1 against them as well. So, those are the 3 teams that are in front of us right now, and they have presented their fair share of challenges, but we've been a challenge to them too. So that's that's something that's really encouraging to our girls, is that those top teams haven't just ran away with it. They haven't just separated themselves completely from everyone. On any given day, if you're on, and you'll have to be on, you can sure enough give them a challenge. So, being in the position that we're in is a good spot. It's not the end. We know that we've got to get through this regional, and then, we take care of business in the regional. We'll see how things match up at the state tournament. But, if we can go into it and get ourselves a favorable matchup in that first round and punch through and get into the semifinals, things become more possible at that time. That's always kind of the goal when you go to state, is you just can't win them all 3 on the first day. You just got to take care of that first one.
Shout out to your 8th grade American and national teams that won the Frontier Valley Conference. Shout out to the 7th grade team, national or American that won.
American,
sorry.
yes.
And, the future is bright. And so I know volleyball continues to grow in this state and in this region especially. So I know you've got a lot of pull, and I just love the camaraderie that on Thursday they're going to be bringing all the youth programs in, and they get in for free to the game, and they're going to support our girls to victory, and I just love that. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, our middle school programs are kind of second to none, and the coaches, they do a very good job. And if I look around at some of the schools that they play against, and our kids do win a lot in that middle school, and I tell them just we're going to work hard, because you guys are just you're fighting for an opportunity to continue to advance in our program, and they've done a fine job. The coaches coach them up, the kids play hard, and it's a lot of fun to watch them play.
Coach, thanks again for joining us. We're going to take a commercial break here on Uncaged, and we'll be right back after this.
Right now, get $200 from TTCU Federal Credit Union when you open a new checking account with direct deposit. What would you buy with $200?
Cars, race cars, my own apartment, 100 coloring books, and a puppy.
Or maybe some groceries and a tank of gas. $200 for whatever works for you from TTCU, because life is better in balance.
Recently, you've had to put your life on hold, and we're with you in this. At Ascension St. John, we're now open for appointments, and we are fully prepared for your safety and our care. As we open our doors again, our doctors, nurses, and care teams will continue to wear personal protective equipment. We've taken even more steps to clean and stringently disinfect all areas. We will maintain distancing in our waiting rooms, and will continue to limit visitors. And we will still screen all staff to protect their health and yours. Our emergency rooms are here 24/7. Please do not delay care. We're still delivering babies and performing surgeries. And we're open for your appointments, from specialists and surgical care to routine care and health screenings. Ask us about virtual visits. Ascension St. John continues to care for you, as we have been for almost a century. Thank you for trusting us.
For families who like to build their wealth while staying liquid, we have flexible rate CDs to keep your funds working hard, even when you're not. First National Bank of Broken Arrow. The right balance.
Welcome back to Uncaged, official podcast of BA Tiger Sports. And now we are here, just the three of us, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the other fall sports that are going on right now. And obviously one of the biggest things that has happened was just last week, our cheer team won 6A co-ed. Talk a little bit about that, Amanda.
Yeah, what a great moment to witness. Not only their performance, at regionals, which was pretty phenomenal, but then for them to go on to state and make some adjustments that were, requested by the judges, and they did it, and they overcame some adversity and challenges, and then for them to go out there and perform first in the 6A large co-ed category was pretty difficult. So they set a really high bar for the rest of the teams, and really talented teams there. But just to witness them winning the championship in the large co-ed division was pretty phenomenal. I'm so proud of them.
Well, we had a couple of varsity cheerleaders on our other sports podcast called Tiger Sports Report, which is completely student produced. And that was actually leading up to the championship or the state tournament. What have you in your conversations with Coach Blood talked about just kind of the growth of her team and how they got to the point to be able to win state this year?
I think they this year really focused on what it means to be a Tiger. They had speakers come in and reveal what it takes to have your stripes and service, trust, respect, integrity, positive attitude, excellence. All of those things, they actually do matter. And I know when talking to Coach Blood and her assistant coaches, they wanted to focus on that. So I think this year was focused more on the heart of the team. Their talent is there every year. So I think at this point is be who we are, stay focused. We didn't win regionals, but you know what? We're going to fix the things we need to so that we can go on and show them that we will make those adjustments.
Yeah, and that's no different than in a lot of other sports. You take basketball, for example, a lot of time, like maybe you didn't win, you end up going through the loser side of the bracket, which is a poorly named side of the bracket. But talk a little bit about what else does cheer have coming up? Obviously, I know nationals is a big thing, but that's a few months away. Do they have anything in between?
Prior to nationals in Orlando, Florida, they have in November game day. So that's a different competition that the OSSA oversees. So they will be competing in the game day division, which is what we do here at Broken
And that
Arrow.
just kind of continues to grow.
And now they've they've lengthened it to where Palm can compete into it. So it's pretty neat deal. I enjoy it.
Next up, let's talk a little bit about softball. As we're recording this today, they're hosting regionals, so we'll know a little bit more about their fate next week. They've had a really solid season. We don't know who they're going to play yet today as we're recording this, but games are going on right now. Talk a little bit about what you guys know about the season that they've had as they prep for these games and head on to a possible state tournament, which Broken Arrow is known to be a team that always competes for state championships.
Yeah, I think what you said, I think they're known for competing at the state tournament level, and I think we're staying true and consistent to that. Coach King, I think they have a record of 27-10 this year. Obviously have some skill girls, and they're playing in a regional championship game, and really looking forward to punching the ticket. Just need to win one more, and we're in.
To get all your Tiger football talk, we got a weekly show, Inside Tiger Football, that airs every Thursday, so be sure and check that out. So before we wrap things up, we want to get to know Coach Lusk a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your background. You're coming here from most recently Owasso, and you've been in BA since what, about July now?
Since June 1st.
June, yeah.
So I'd like to say I'm a football coach by trade. So graduated college in 2000. Was cut from the New York Giants, and so went home and coached for David Heath at Guyman, Oklahoma for a couple of years. David Heath actually coaches D-line here for Josh.
Okay.
He was the head coach in Guyman at the time, one of my coaches growing up. But went home, coached, did that for a couple of years, was at Panhandle State University as a passing game coordinator for a year, and then was at Lake Highlands High School in Dallas, Texas for a year. And so lived down there, and decided that drive down I-35 and across 635 was not for me. And so we made the trip back to Oklahoma, was in Muskogee for 10 years, coached for Ron Lancaster and Matt Hennessy, And then I think about year 6, I got into administration, was offered a position as an assistant principal, and made the decision
At Muskogee.
Made the decision to go ahead and give that a shot. So for the last 12 years, I've been in administration. Served as a principal at Pershing Elementary, served as principal in Guyman, Oklahoma, went home for a couple of years, and middle school athletic director. And then I was 8th grade principal at Owasso for 6 years.
Talk about the biggest change over from being a principal to an athletic director.
I think the biggest change for me is the transition has been good. The one thing that's been a challenge for me is just not being around kids all day, and so we get into this profession to serve kids, and so I've had to learn how to adjust my time wisely, but the transition has really been good. I'm excited about Broken Arrow. I'm excited about their vision and their goal for students and the success of their programs, and so it's been good.
I know.
Speaking of kids, you have 2 kids yourself, right?
I have 3
kids. Okay, and I've seen you walking around with 2 boys, so I wasn't sure if that was total or not.
My oldest, he played. He finished his high school career in 2000 at Owasso.
Gotcha.
Signed with Missouri State to play football there. Transferred 2 years ago to Central Oklahoma. That's where I played ball, and so he's there in his junior year. And I have a freshman, Preston Lusk, and then I have an 8th grader, Bryce Lusk.
Awesome.
Talk about, you played at the next level and your son plays too. Now, what is your biggest piece of advice you could give an athlete wanting to play at the next level?
That's a good question. And that really depends on the athlete, but I think for me is you have to understand that it's not about you anymore. We all have goals and we all want to be the best, but at the same time, do your part, play your role, and the team benefits from that. You may not have, 20 touches, you may have 10, but those are quality touches, and you get what you put into it, and so in college, we were 48-7 in the 5 years that I played there. We won 3 Lone Star Conference championships. My goal was to always play in the NFL. I think every kid's goal is to play in the NFL. I had 16 catches my senior year, 10 touchdowns, and, I'm a top 20 receiver going into the draft. And so, but I think that just a testament to show up, do your part, and good things happen.
Before we wrap things up, let's talk a little bit about the athletic department and give some shout outs to some of the people behind the scenes. You guys have a fairly new staff. You're going on kind of your 2.5. It's your start in in like January of 2020, right? So
January
you've got
2020.
you and
that's right.
And Coach Melton and Logan Hawk's brand new to staff. Tell us a little bit about the operations in athletics and kind of how the behind the scenes of everything works, because it's a lot to keep up with.
It's a lot to keep up with. We are so blessed to have Logan Hawk on our staff now, who's not only pumping out graphics daily, nightly, he's doing the hype videos with you all with AeroVision. And we communicate all the time. Right before this podcast, we had Tiger Gratitude, where we went around with the 2 football players who were honoring their teachers. And so there's a lot of things we do behind the scenes.
And that's been a thing that's really a new thing you guys are doing this year. And it's really, doing some
really
good things on social media.
Yeah. It's about, telling our teachers how much they've impacted our student athletes' lives. And we want them to come to the game. So, just having that camaraderie and the connection, that's what it's all about.
Talk to me a little bit about, people come to Broken Arrow High School football games and they probably see that we have a fairly large production compared to most high schools. Pat yourself on the back a little bit and talk to me a little bit about what your role is in Friday game day operations.
All of it.
Well, my role is no more than anybody else. Don't even go there. I appreciate that. But, what I think about is what I learned from working at TU, and that was game day marketing.
Yeah.
And so you're really, you've got your sponsors, and they need to be put in the script, and you've got on-field timeouts. You've got some that are just the PA, Sean Morgan, that's announcing. You've got some that are in the stands and videos and commercials. And so honestly, it's just a lot of organization. It's time. writing the script, and I love doing it because I know that it hopefully impacts our kids and our families and community in a positive light. So it's a lot of work, but you know what? I enjoy doing it.
Alton, before we go, any final thoughts from you? What's your, getting your feet wet in the athletic department? What's that been like for you?
Well, you know what? It's a big job, and there's a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. And so, I think just with any new position, I'm at a point in my career where I was looking for a new challenge. And so, I just want to be a good piece of the puzzle, so I'm just trying to figure out my role, kind of learning obviously from Amanda and the great things that she does, learning from Darren and Spav and Coach Ellett. And we just have a really good team, and I'm excited to be part of it.
Awesome. All right. Well, that is all the time we have for this week's episode of Uncaged. Be sure that you are following at BA Tiger Sports on all social media platforms. Trust me, if you do, you will stay up to date. You won't miss a thing. Guys, I appreciate you joining me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Greg.
All right. We'll see you next time.